Now, one team that we need to look out for in the 2023 season is Ferrari. And after the pre-season testing in Bahrain, we've been assured that the Scuderia will be out there hunting for blood. Sainz finished second fastest, 0.3 seconds behind Verstappen. And while there were a couple of issues that we'll mention in this video, Ferrari will definitely be the team to beat along with Red Bull in the front. But a move that has been made by Vasseur has changed everything in the team, and it seems like we're ready to see the first champion from the Italian team after Raikkonen. The 2022 season was one to be forgotten quickly by Ferrari, but while they had massive issues with the reliability of the engine and were often the laughingstock of Formula 1 due to the tactical blunders that just kept happening, the situation is different now, mostly because they understood that nothing much could be done against Verstappen and Red Bull. Things even reached a point where Ferrari actually had to fight for the P2 spot in the Constructors' Championship, and Leclerc had to fight with Perez until the last race in Abu Dhabi for the P2 spot in the Drivers' Championship as well. But luckily for the Scuderia, everything went in their favour in terms of this mini battle. But a lot of the upgrades that were meant to be implemented on the F175 have been pushed and prolonged for the SF23. And now the time has finally come. Ferrari is looking stronger than ever, and two of the innovations that are making the car different compared to everyone else are the design of the front wing and the revision of the S-duct. Now, the 2023 regulations say that the controversial front wing design is now legal, with the FIA deleting one very important word in the interpretation of the rules, and that's the word mainly in terms of the structural and aerodynamical boost of the car. Ferrari has followed up on this concept and implemented it on their car. But the S-duct revision is the one that's raised the most eyebrows amongst the rivals in terms of an aerodynamic boost. This is a part that's been present in the sport for so long, more precisely since 2012, with Sauber initially implementing it to allow the dirty air from the car ahead to strike parts that are not of huge aerodynamic importance for the following car. However, Ferrari made tweaks to this part, and now it's implemented in the side pod design in such a way that the airflow that comes out can move towards the rear and beam wing, which could theoretically improve aerodynamic performance. While the teams have lodged protests with the FIA regarding the legality of this part, it's inevitable that they cannot do much about it, because Ferrari has had extensive talks with the FIA and the part itself was called a bypass duct and is to be referred to as such. What can we say? Well, Ferrari definitely did their homework, but the design itself wasn't too big of an issue when it comes to beating Red Bull in 2022. While the RB18 was definitely the best aerodynamic and engineering miracle that struck the F1 world in 2022, Ferrari's design was pretty close in terms of competitiveness. Remember that in the first couple of races, Ferrari was definitely the faster car, but reliability issues and tactical blunders interfered with their result, which led to the anger of the Scuderia fans rising to a high level and them calling for actions to happen for the 2023 season. The first action was the replacement of Binotto with Vasseur, which was likely facilitated by Leclerc after the Silverstone blunder, where he finished P4 after being P1 and didn't utilise the safety car deployment in his own favour. To make matters worse, his teammate Sainz pitted for new tyres and won the race despite being advised to defend against Hamilton and Perez and allow Leclerc to make a solid difference ahead. Nonetheless, Binotto himself wasn't responsible for all of the tactical blunders, so that's why many Ferrari fans weren't happy that the only change made was the one with Binotto being replaced. However, the fans are now very happy to learn that the head of strategy, Iñaki Rueda, is finally being replaced. Iñaki has gained a lot of notoriety thanks to his strange tactical choices, and while Binotto tried to cover up all of the mistakes by saying that they win as one and fail as one, it was evident that the certain departments were lacking and they needed to be fixed ahead of the 2023 season. The initial thought was that Ferrari would keep the ball rolling with the same strategy crew, but it seems like Vasseur wants a fresh start as he's demoted Iñaki Rueda to the Maranello factory, giving him a role in Italy. While Rueda will still be directly involved with all of the drama that will revolve around both drivers at every race, it's still a demotion and his place will be taken by Ravin Jain. Ravin is a former race strategy engineer himself, as he once entered Ferrari as a trainee and now will have the ultimate spot that could show whether he has the abilities of Hannah Schmitz to deliver the best possible tactics for Leclerc and Sainz. Apart from Ravin, there are a couple of changes happening in the junior team. Indeed, Ferrari's academy will now be taken over by Claudio Albertini, who was previously in charge of the mechanics at the circuit. His job will be taken over by Diego Lloverno, who is the coach of pit stops. These are the changes that Ferrari fans wanted to see as they were entering the 2023 season, and it was definitely something that they were expecting through Vasseur's statement earlier in this season regarding the strategy blunders that happened for the team in 2022. When talking about this matter, he added, "When you're speaking about strategy or aerodynamics or another topic, you have to avoid being just focused on the top of the pyramid. Very often when you're speaking about strategy, it's much more of a matter of organization than just the guy who's on the pit wall. I'm trying to understand exactly what happened with every single mistake and what happened last year, and try to know if it's a matter of decision, if it's a matter of organization or of communication." Most definitely, Vasseur means business, and with the new changes, one can help but wonder, where is the limit for Ferrari? But now we need to be a bit realistic and talk about an issue that Ferrari needs to fix before they enter the first race in Bahrain, and that's the porpoising. Through the first pre-testing day in Bahrain, we were able to see Sainz's car struggling with bouncing, which yet again reminds us of the FIA statement that the regulations themselves may not be enough to eradicate porpoising all by themselves. While Ferrari were granted the Porpoising Geniuses nickname for the 2022 season, it was evident that the car that bounces vividly on the main straights and in the high-speed corners isn't tailor-made to win a championship. That's why, despite Sainz finishing P2 and second fastest to Verstappen, the general consensus is that, with porpoising remaining a persistent issue for the Scuderia, this is likely the best the Scuderia can do if Red Bull maintains optimal car condition. Another worrying fact is that even though porpoising was persistent throughout the entire grid, apart from Red Bull, an Indigo replicated scenario from the first pre-testing in Bahrain last year, Sainz's Ferrari was the one that jumped the most vividly and aggressively. Anthony Davidson from Sky Sports spoke about this issue as he was left wondering, just like the rest of us, whether Ferrari is deliberately trying to sandbag the performance until the first race in Bahrain on the 5th of March. When talking about this matter, Davidson said, "There was an awful lot of porpoising from the car just then on the run down to the final corner. It's a bumpy track here, but I'm not seeing anyone's head bouncing around quite as much as Sainz. Maybe they're just trying to sneak the car down and test the limits of it. There was bouncing through turn 12 and sparking at the rear. They're starting to test things by dropping the car lower and lower. Porpoising and bouncing hasn't gone away this year." Another thing that Ferrari needs to face is the fact that the carbon dimple has appeared at the front of the nose, and it's definitely something that's not giving them an aerodynamic boost, as the team confirmed that it's a very unintentional phenomenon. All in all, the team has made huge moves in the right direction, but whether they'll be enough to beat Verstappen and Red Bull, only time will tell. The initial thought is that the field will be much more level compared to the previous season, and that's what we're all here for. So, what do you think about the new choices at Ferrari? Let us know in the comments down below.